Bella Vista Community Television presents Bella Vista and Beyond. Today our hosts are Mike Cleary and Nancy Noyes, and we will be talking about volunteering at our Bella Vista Community Television and the Quorum Court and Justices of the Peace. And now to the studio for the program.
Hello and welcome to Bella Vista and Beyond. Bella Vista and Beyond is a production of Bella Vista Community Television. My guest also happens to be my co-host for this show. I've invited her to come out from the control room in front of the camera to be on the show with me this morning. Please welcome Nancy Noyes. Nancy, I'm glad that you're here with us this morning.
Glad to be here, Mike.
So I understand that you're fairly new, recent resident of Bella Vista.
That's right. We moved here, actually I moved here 3 weeks ago, and we moved into my parents-in-law's home and had a great time. I mean, we visited here back and forth through the years, and I just love it. I mean, who doesn't want to live here?
I know. You're recently from Texas.
Yes, from Duncanville, Texas, which is a suburb of Dallas.
And you're no stranger to television, especially the control room area.
Right, right. Well, I started in television at a community access station, much like this one. I didn't know a thing, but I was over there all the time and learned and just had a wonderful time. I loved it. I think community access television is very important because it's the voice of the people. And it's the only time that the people really get to express their own opinions, within reason, of course. And I think it's just very, very important. And so from there, after that, I decided that I'd like to start a high school program. So I made proposals to the school board. First one was not approved. Second one was not approved, but I didn't give up. I started doing a lot of free work for the school district. And I would always say, well, if we had a TV production class, I could actually teach the students and we could do this. So finally, they approved the third time I decided. And so I was hired 2 days before the students actually got to class. And I was hired in an old wood shop, dusty, dirty. So I had 2 days to put it together, no textbooks, no equipment, nothing. And the first day of school, they hadn't turned on the air conditioning. So we were all sweating and sweat was running down my back. And I told my class, you know, this is going to be a really hot class. So they got a kick out of that. But I've been so proud of my students through the years. They have done so well. They have been national champions in television production, meaning that they were the finest TV producers in the country. So that is a big honor. And we've been on Channel 1. We were state champions several times in a variety of different media-related competitions. I have some students that own their own production companies, 2 that are working for the Dallas Cowboys in the control room as directors, and just many, many students have found satisfying careers in communication. And that makes me feel really good. Oh, and also I have a reporter on NPR, Dwali Sakauto. So that's just so satisfying to me.
Some of the success stories from
Yes,
Duncanville.
Absolutely.
That's great. So now you're involved with Bella Vista Community Television.
Yes.
How did you find out about being a volunteer here?
Well, I feel like I've come full circle back to where I started, and that's really thrilling. I read about it in the Bella Vista paper, and so I know that that's for me. And so as soon as I could, I came and visited, and I told JB, she's one of the directors here, and I told her I would really like to volunteer here. And so I wanted to come at the beginning of the summer, but it took longer than I thought it would. And so now I'm here and I'm staying.
Good, good. You're involved in the control room. What is it that is involved in working the control room for a show like this?
Well, television production is a crew effort, and we all work together as a single team. In the control room, you have the director, of course, who works the switcher and changes the different shots. And you have the long shot, the mid shot, and the close-up, depending on who's talking and what we're saying and all of that. Next, you have the audio personnel, which is important to make sure that the audio and the sound is good and is at the right level for both the host and the talent. Then you have the teleprompter operator, and she is in charge of making sure that the credits and the graphics are correct and scrolling them at the proper time. And also we have the person that runs the the beginning, the opening of the show, which is really good. That's in the control room. And in the studio, there's other various important positions, like the announcer who gives the who gives what the show is going to be about, who's going to be hosting, who's going to be on, what the topic of conversation is for that day. And of course, we have the 3 capable camera operators that know what to do and get the right shots without a lot of discussion.
Speaking of camera operators, you sort of invited your son, Nick, to join us as one of the camera operators.
Yes.
So we're always looking for volunteers everywhere we go. That's a great opportunity for people to get into the television studio.
And Nick is a good volunteer, and I would encourage anyone else who wants to volunteer to come down. They probably will never have more fun in their life.
So you have aspirations now of directing your own shows? Or?
Yes, and also I hope to be teaching some video production classes here in the studio for volunteers and others. I want to make contact with the high schools in the area, Bentonville and Gravette, and hopefully they don't have a television production program there and they would like to come here to volunteer, and I can teach them how to volunteer and what to do, especially in the studio to start.
That's a useful bit of information, especially with people doing more podcasting, people doing, FaceTime or what the Facebook Live. I'm not very versed on this new technology that's going on, but a lot of people want to be more involved with cameras and about recording.
Exactly, I agree.
So tell me a little bit about your volunteering experience. Would you recommend that other people volunteer, or is this kind of like a new area for you, or do you want other people to be
Well, it's not
excited?
a new area for me. Like I said, I've come full circle back to my original roots many years ago in television. And I would strongly encourage anyone, and you can be at any age. You can be young, high school age, or you can be elderly. It doesn't matter, because there's a place for you here at Bella Vista Community Television.
And people can contact the station through the website or through email. We have on our website, we have an email, or they can call the station and ask what positions are available, what times we can do recording. So you would suggest that people can just knock on the door and say, come on in and we'll put you to work somehow.
Absolutely. And what is the website, Mike? Could you tell the audience that?
I'm not entirely sure what the website is. I think our announcer needs to announce that when we take a break. I believe it's BellaVistaCommunityTelevision.com. He's nodding his head. Good. Okay. Because I don't contact the station that way. So BellaVistaCommunityTelevision.com, or through the website, or also through the email. We're going to take a short break and have some announcements. We have Nancy is going to come back as the co-host, but as the host for the second portion of the program. So I'm going to relinquish my host chair to her. But we're going to have a few announcements, and we're going to come right back after this brief pause.
We will be right back. Stay tuned.
Hello everybody, welcome to the 2020 Cooper Communities Classic Golf Tournament. It belongs to the charities. One of the reasons we do this is to support the local charities in the area. We have all kinds of pros learning to be even more than they are from all over the United States. And this year, they've added an extra dimension, and that is that they're bringing women.
The golf tournament is very exciting because this year we have both the women and the men here. This is the first year for that. The actual tournament for the APT players starts on Wednesday. And the women will be at Scottsdale and the men at Country Club. And then once they have the cut, everybody will be at the Country Club.
I've been golfing for about 25 years.
And I've been golfing for about 10 or 12 years, seriously.
The best here at this event is probably watching the professionals and just picking up the little things that they do and the way they go about their business. And all of them that I've ever played with before have fantastic personalities, and it's just a joy and a blessing to be around them.
The host for the event, the Bella Vista Property Owners Association, provided the venue for the tournament and the Lake Point Restaurant and Convention Center for the Pro-Am party and silent auction.
The tournament is a great event because it gives us the opportunity to bring in very talented people to play on our golf courses. So it's great for us to show off our facilities and our golf courses.
The largest sponsor, of course, is Cooper Communities, and we so appreciate that. In addition to that, it's the Bella Vista Foundation that actually puts this on every year. They are the ones that really take good care of the charities and make sure that the charities are getting the benefit from this. So all the funds that are raised, after cost of course, are divided up among the charities that they've selected that year. And this year we have 5. The Bella Vista Boys and Girls Club, the Courtesy Van, the Animal Shelter, Bella Vista Community Television Station, and the Rotary Club.
The silent auction basically was invented for profits to local organizations. So every year we as the board will designate 5 charities, and so then the 5 charities get to split the dollars we make, and each of the 5 charities find donations and teams to play in the event. But then we will split all the proceeds with the profit with the charities, which is great. And every year it's going to be different charities.
So the auction is usually held on the first day of the event, on the Monday before everything happens, and we just get some of the most exciting silent auction items. I think this year we had everything from large baskets of all kinds of wine and spirits, also a grill, and that cool little miniature BMW car that they auctioned off. We really appreciate everybody that contributes to the silent auction.
The Bella Vista Foundation would like to thank the APT Tour for putting on a first-class event, Discover Bella Vista for sponsoring the Pro-Am tournament, and Mercy Medical and Kutak Law Firm as presenting sponsors for the 2020 tournament.
We thank you so much for joining us this year. Please come out and support us next year, and here's how you can do that. You can house a pro, have them stay with you. You can sign up and actually play with a pro. And you can just enjoy watching. You can stand back and be part of the crowd and just make sure that all of our charities are supported by coming to the silent auction and being part of this great event. Thank you so much. Hope to see you next year.
Welcome back. This portion of the program will be hosted by Nancy Noyes, so take it away, Nancy.
Thanks, Mike. You're watching Bella Vista and Beyond. We'd like to welcome Carrie Perrien Smith, who just won her second term as Justice of the Peace for Rogers. Congratulations on your win, Carrie.
Thank you.
Can you explain exactly what does a Justice of the Peace do? Or what is a Justice of the Peace?
Well, we are a county legislator, so I think it's easiest to explain it as city council for the county. So basically, we oversee the budget and expenditures for the county.
So those are some of your specific duties.
Yeah, it's one of those jobs where you attend, your role is attending a meeting. We don't have office hours, we don't have an office space, and out in the county, the JP is really your first line of defense if you have an issue with roads or drainage or things like that. Now, my district is completely within the city limits of Northwest Rogers, and so a lot of those services that people might call their Justice of the Peace for are handled by the city of Rogers. And so it's really given me a chance to look outside what a JP normally does and ask myself, how can I assist in a unique way?
Oh, that's great. How did you prepare for your career as a Justice of the Peace?
Well, I will tell you that in any elected office, 51% of the vote is what allows you to become whatever, regardless. I mean, there are very few restrictions on who can run for what office. Now, obviously, if you're the Attorney General, you probably want a background in law, and hopefully the voters vet you to make sure that you've got some qualifications. You know, what I really thought it was about in the beginning was, being a representative for the people and making sure that we were exercising wise stewardship on the taxpayer dollars. What I found out in this year, where we had a lot of our ideals for America resurrected through challenges that we experienced through different protests and things like that, that I needed to know the Constitution a lot better. And we had an opportunity this year to run a couple of resolutions through the Quorum Court, one supporting law enforcement and the Office of the Sheriff, and then one that says we stand behind the Constitution and the Bill of Rights and the Arkansas Constitution and the Arkansas Bill of Rights. And Bella Vista, one of Bella Vista's JPs, Michelle Chiacco, ran one of those resolutions for the Constitution. She's a first-generation American. And Debbie Hobbs, who was a state representative and currently is serving her last term on the Benton County Quorum Court, and she ran the one for law enforcement. And we did it because of COVID and restrictions on spacing and things like that, we held a meeting out at the Quorum Court that was our public forum for that. And we had overwhelming support from the community come out. Now, I'll tell you, most meetings you could bowl down the aisles of a Quorum Court meeting. Nobody comes out. But this got a little newspaper exposure, and people started talking about it. The fact that anybody would question our U.S. Constitution. They were very interested, and so the Benton County Sheriff's Office and the administration staff set up the auditorium at the fairgrounds. And we had 75 people show up. We had 30 people speak, and only 2 spoke against either resolution. They showed overwhelming support for law enforcement, which at the time in July had really taken a beating. I was very worried about law enforcement and that good people might leave law enforcement. And at least here in Arkansas, we still very much respect their work.
Oh, sure. Well, I know that the Quorum Court is one of the important things that you do. Could you tell us a little bit more about that?
Well, the Quorum Court is the legislative body. So like the city council, we have our Justice of the Peace elected officials. There's 15 of them total, and they make up the body of the Quorum Court. And so our meetings, basically we meet 3 meetings a month. And I mean, most of what we do is approving expenditures and creating a budget. where we pre-approve those expenditures for the coming year. And we just finished that. There's a lot more meetings during the October timeframe when we're listening to the department heads talk about what they think their budget might look like for the next year and what their needs are and hiring needs. But basically, it's just really 3 meetings. We have a finance committee meeting where every single one of us are there. We have a committee of the whole meeting, which every single one of us are there. And then we have the quorum court meeting at the very end of the month, and every single one of us are there. And all of us have a vote and a voice in each one of those. So we're looking out for our constituents in every single one of those decisions.
Well, that's good, and I think that's really important work. I do. What did you do differently this year to secure your reelection?
Well, one of the things, this was my first election to run for reelection. Now, I had a primary in the spring, and so I've actually run 2 campaigns this year. I would rather just be representing people and talking to voters about real issues that are happening now instead of begging people to rehire me. Because basically that's what you're doing. You're asking voters to rehire you.
Right, that's true.
Yeah, and but I will tell you that this time, because I had more time to spend, because I've had some other stuff canceled, and I had more time to spend out talking to voters. I mean, I was on 2,200 doorsteps in my district. I walked almost, between the 2 races, I walked almost every single neighborhood in my district. I have always aspired to do that, and I got a chance to do it, and I got a chance to do it during fall color, which was beautiful.
Oh, yes.
There's not a lot of people that have the opportunity to, I mean, during the day, you're canvassing alone. A lot of people are not home. Now we have Ring doorbells, and people actually talk to you from their office on a Ring doorbell, which is hilarious. It's good to be charming on a Ring doorbell. Always give the little wave. And then, you know, they'll go, oh, yeah, you know, I've heard of you. And then I had a couple of situations where, you know, I'd canvass a retirement community or something, and people were really wanting to come out and talk to you, and those are engaged voters. And
Yes.
one day I ended up on the doorstep of a lady. It was her 101st birthday.
Oh, my.
I mean, what an amazing thing. And we stood on the porch and talked about politics for 10 minutes. It was such a blessing to me. And I know I'm there to ask them to vote for me, but I mean, to me, the whole election is really about them. You know, one lady, I was canvassing her neighborhood. I came up the doorstep and she recognized me, and she's 94 years old. People who have lived a long time are happy to tell you how old they are, like in the first few sentences. And it was just amazing. People really wanted to come out and talk to you, and on the doorstep, it's so easy to social distance.
Right.
And they've been home, and they want to hear something about local politics going on.
Exactly. Oh, well, that's great. So, in addition to being a justice of the peace, you are the lead singer for the band Home by Daylight, a band that both you and Mike Cleary are in. Tell us about that.
Well, it was never on my bucket list to be in a band. So my husband really wanted to have a band. And it had been his dream forever, and he kind of pulled things together. And he's actually an excellent manager of our band, and if we would not be booked anywhere if it wasn't for him. But him and Michael Cleary and another couple of people started the original band, which way back then was Paper Jam. And we were Paper Jam, and things had changed, and Mike came back to join us for Home by Daylight, which is a folk rock band. And so we play a lot of the music out of the 50s, 60s, and 70s. Sometimes you'll see some Woody Guthrie stuff that's maybe out of the 40s. So our audience usually for that, we think, is baby boomers.
Yeah.
But I'll tell you, there's a resurgence of interest in the music, and maybe it's because it's, you know, war protest songs or something, but in younger people. So we're seeing that much more as people are aging into, I don't want to say drinking age, but I mean, that's at a lot of the places that we play, our target audience has to be 21. And so as we're starting to see that generation starting to age into where they would be our audience members, and they know the music and they sing the music. So yes, we are playing our first casino show this week. And so I'm a little nervous about that. I'm like, I never imagined, because we play nursing homes a lot of times.
Oh, well, that's good.
Yeah, I tell you what people should do is they should hire us for afternoon shows. You know, the kind of, because you go into some of these places in Bella Vista in the afternoon, and they're full of people who need to go and have a dinner or a beverage before dark.
Yeah.
And I thought there's such an opportunity for a 2 or 3 o'clock show in the middle of the week in Bella Vista.
Well, maybe your husband can book some of those.
I think it's a great idea myself, because then instead of being home by daylight, we could be like home by, dinner time.
Yeah. Good choice. So, I think one of the reasons why the younger people are really bonding to the old-time music, the baby boomers, is that the music was so good. And, I found that with my students, too. They love the music from the 50s and 60s and 70s. So,
Yeah.
And plus their parents probably played it for them.
It's
as they were
hilarious.
growing-
Yes.
So
So what you hear a lot of times, if you have an audience where it's a college age audience, they'll come up and talk to you and go, "Oh my goodness, I remember listening to that in the back of the minivan when I was growing up." How hilarious is that?
that's great. That is so good. Well, Mike Cleary is also a singer, songwriter, as well as a musician. Do you ever sing any of his songs in the band?
We have not done any of Mike's original tunes. We've been strictly covers. Mike is a fantastic musician
He
and
really
very
is.
creative. And he just comes up with that stuff right, on cue. And I tell you, one of the things that I love about performing with Mike is that he is so funny, and he's forever writing his own material. And so for me, for some reason, I can never remember the punchline. And it's like always brand new material for me. But I think that leans toward, creating a great experience.
Yes, exactly. Well, I understand that your band, Home by Daylight, is performing this Saturday, November 14th, at
Yes.
Indigo Sky Casino. Can you tell us a little bit more about that?
Well, it will be an early show, so it will be a good chance to come out and check it out. We will be playing music from the 50s, 60s, and 70s. It is in Wyandotte, Oklahoma.
Oh.
And so just a short drive from Northwest Arkansas. And, of course, they have great rates on hotel rooms. You can have a meal there. So for the people who frequent casinos on a regular basis, they love the experience. And when you walk through the casino, you can see it's our audience. Very much a baby boomer audience in there. So I'm excited to have people in the room that really appreciate the music.
Oh, it sounds like fun.
Yes.
So that's great. What's the best part about being in the band for you?
I think it has stretched me. I have spoken to audiences. I've been in Toastmasters for 15 years. And I tell you, being able to take that to the platform and sing has really taught me a lot about myself, taught me a lot about audiences and really connecting, because that's really the key with having a successful band, is connecting with your audience. When you study the big shows, you see Journey come through, or some of the great rock icons from the 70s and 80s that will come through and tour. I mean, you've got that lead singer, and he's out there as close to the audience as he can be. And so that is such a key thing. I was not a singer. I learned to sing. I'm not the most talented vocalist in Northwest Arkansas, but I tell you what, I've learned how to be a performer and engage with the audience. And, having great people like Michael Cleary to perform with and bounce off of. I mean, it feels like we have a chance to create a show and not just stand up there and play music.
Okay. Well, being a JP and a lead singer seem very different. In addition, you are an MBA. You started your own company, Soar with Eagles. You're the author of 2 books, and you have an extensive volunteer resume. How do you manage all aspects of your life?
I think that being able to punch my own time clock and kill what I eat, as I say, I tell a lot of people, for those of us who are in sales every single day because we have to get new clients all the time, that's given me a lot of freedom. And I really enjoy the fact that I can kind of organize my time. It seems like it it bunches up on me once in a while. You know, you have one project delayed and it ends up sitting in the middle of a volunteer project you're working on. But you have a chance to kind of pick and choose who your customers are, and I've got mostly total control of my time. You know, I'm at the age, you know, my mom is older, and so I need to run over and help her in Tulsa. And, you know, and my husband's retired now, and things are a lot more busy at my house than they used to be. My office used to be a tomb, and I could work uninterrupted while he was at work, and now he's home all the time. So you have those, but it gives me a chance to be flexible. Yeah. It's been my goal for a long time to serve, to take my volunteer work and take that to the public service arena, because I thought I've finished out my productive years in public service. And I love that. I love the idea of it, and it does give me a chance to take a lot of volunteer leadership experience and use that to serve constituents and to ask good questions. It's just this constantly running for office, it seems like you're always doing. It's like, if I could just get past that and just be able to use that entire 2 years for service. But you get a chance to answer questions out talking to people and campaigning, and there really is no substitute for that.
Oh, yes.
And you have a deadline. It's like, okay, I got to go get votes today.
Well, you are a very impressive woman, Carrie.
Oh, thank
and
you.
I appreciate your being on the show today.
Thank you, Nancy.
So, be sure to check out Home by Daylight in the Indigo Sky Casino this Saturday, November 14th, for some really great vocals and musicianship. For Bella Vista and Beyond, I'm Nancy Noyes.
Remember, you can see this program on Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and Saturday at various times. You may also view this program on YouTube.com by going to Bella Vista TV.